Hello, good evening, and welcome to a moment made just for you. A moment to breathe, to soften, to let your thoughts stretch out like a cat settling into a warm bed. Before our story begins, I invite you to gently loosen your shoulders, allow your jaw to relax, and feel the quiet heaviness of a body preparing for deep, peaceful rest. Take a slow breath in and exhale softly. Tonight, I will share with you a gentle retelling of Cinderella, a story of kindness, patience, and the quiet magic that finds those who keep their hearts open. Let the words drift like moonlight, glowing softly around you, as sleep comes closer and closer. Far away, in a peaceful corner of the world, stood an old house that woke each morning to the sound of bird song and rustling leaves. Inside this house lived a girl whose heart was as calm as a still lake. Her name was Cinderella. Every morning, long before the sun fully rose, Cinderella moved through the house with steps so light they hardly made a sound. The air was cool at dawn, and a soft mist clung to the windows. She would gently open the shutters and greet the morning with a whisper, as though the world were still waking up. "Good morning," she would murmur to the sparrows waiting by the sill. The sparrows answered with little chirps of joy, as if they were friends meeting again after a long night. Though Cinderella lived with her stepmother and two stepsisters, women who often demanded more than they ever gave, she greeted each day with steady patience. There was kindness in her movements, in the way she folded a cloth, in the way she swept the floor, in the way she breathed, even when the world felt heavy. And beneath all of that, in a quiet part of her heart, she held a small, glowing hope that someday life might offer her something gentle in return. Days moved slowly in Cinderella's world, like warm honey slipping down a glass jar. She washed linens in the garden, feeling the mild wind brush her cheeks. She listened to the creek nearby, its water whispering stories of far-off places. Sometimes she would pause, just for a moment, to close her eyes and imagine a life held by quiet joy. Her stepsisters often called for her impatiently, their voices sharp and hurried. But Cinderella's replies were always soft, as though she were balancing the peace inside her against the chaos around her. Her stepmother watched her with cool eyes, a woman who believed that control was the same thing as stability. But Cinderella knew better. She found her stability in gentleness, in patience, in love for the smallest things. Late at night, when the house finally grew calm, Cinderella would sit by the fireplace, letting its warmth seep into her thoughts. The flames flickered quietly, as if keeping her company. Their glow wrapped around her like a soft embrace. She would whisper little wishes, not demands, not pleas, just small hopes shaped like feathers. And the night, ever patient, listened. One golden afternoon, when the sky looked like brushed silk, a rider from the palace arrived in town. He carried a message sealed with the royal crest. The king would host a grand ball, a night of music and candlelight, for the prince to meet the daughters of every noble family. Excitement rippled through the village like wind passing through tall grass. Even in Cinderella's quiet house, the news stirred something. Her stepsisters shrieked with delight. already imagining their gowns and their jewels. Cinderella listened quietly, her heart beating with a hesitant warmth. A grand ballroom, music floating in the air, laughter, candlelit dresses, a moment where dreams and reality might gently touch. For a moment, she allowed herself to imagine being there, not as a servant, but as someone free to move and smile and breathe without fear. But her stepmother's voice cut through her thoughts. "You," she scoffed softly, "you'll be far too busy preparing everything for your sisters." A soft ache bloomed in Cinderella's chest, but she simply lowered her eyes and let the feeling pass through her like a cloud. Still, hope has a way of lingering, even in silence. The day of the ball grew nearer, and the house buzzed with restless energy. Cinderella helped sew gowns, her fingers brushing silks and ribbons she knew she would never wear. She brushed her stepsister's hair, listening to their endless chatter. She fixed hems, fastened jewels, and polished shoes until they shone like polished stars. All the while, she remained quiet, calm, gentle, even as the world around her swirled with vanity and noise. On the day of the ball, the house filled with the scent of perfumes and powders. Cinderella stood near the stairs, her hands clasped in front of her. She looked peaceful, even though she felt a small longing curling inside her. Her stepsisters laughed when she asked if she might attend. Her stepmother's voice was cold but steady. "You may go if you finish every task, and if you have something suitable to wear." It was a game, one Cinderella knew she could not win. Yet she worked, not in desperation, but with a quiet grace she always carried. She finished every task as the sun dipped low, but when she went to her old dress, her stepsisters tore it apart in a whirlwind of jealousy. A soft sound escaped Cinderella, not quite a cry, not quite a sigh, just a small aching release as her hope slipped away. When they left for the ball, the house grew silent again, deeply, deeply silent. Cinderella stepped into the garden, seeking the cool comfort of night air. She sank near the old stone bench, and for the first time in a long while, she let her tears fall freely. They glimmered on her cheeks like dew on morning petals. As she breathed softly, a warm shimmer appeared in the darkness, just at the edge of her vision. The shimmer grew brighter, brighter still, until the air carried a gentle melody of magic. A figure formed within the glow, draped in light and warmth and kindness. "My dear Cinderella," the fairy godmother whispered, her voice soft as evening wind. "Why do you cry?" Cinderella lifted her gaze, delicate and vulnerable. "I only wished to see the world beyond this house, just for one night." The fairy godmother smiled with the tenderness of someone who has seen every kind of sorrow and still chooses compassion. "You have carried kindness through every hardship," she murmured. "Tonight you shall be rewarded." With a wave of her wand, a pumpkin transformed into a golden carriage that shimmered like sunrise. Mice became horses, elegant and calm. A lizard became a footman, standing tall and steady. And Cinderella's torn dress became a gown woven from moonlight itself. Soft, flowing, sparkling gently with each breath she took. "Remember," the fairy godmother whispered, "when the clock strikes midnight, the magic returns to its beginning." Cinderella nodded, gratitude warming her heart. Her journey was about to begin. The palace was breathtaking, a sea of warm lights, music drifting through golden halls, laughter echoing softly like distant bells. When Cinderella stepped inside, the room fell into a hush. Not from shock, but from the sense that something gentle, something pure, had entered the room. The prince noticed her immediately. His breath paused, not in awe of her gown, but in the serenity that radiated from her. He approached slowly, as though afraid to disturb the quiet grace she carried. "Would you honor me with the first dance?" he asked. Cinderella smiled, a soft, glowing smile. Their hands met, and for a moment, the world seemed to dissolve into candlelight and music. They danced with a slow, easy rhythm, as though the universe itself had leaned back to watch them. They spoke in gentle tones, learning small truths about each other. That the prince longed for something real, that Cinderella dreamed not of luxury, but of peace. Time flowed like warm water around them, soft, steady, calm. Until dong, dong, the clock began to strike. Cinderella's breath caught. She whispered, "I must go. I'm so sorry." The prince reached for her hand, but Cinderella slipped away like a whisper on the wind. She hurried down the grand staircase, her gown trailing behind her like a comet's tail. One glass slipper fell, the delicate sound echoing through the marble hall, but she did not stop. The magic was fading, slowly at first, then all at once. When she reached her cottage, she was simply Cinderella again, still gentle, still glowing from the experience, but wrapped once more in her familiar clothes. She whispered thank you to the stars above before falling into a deep, dream-filled sleep. The next morning, the kingdom hummed with excitement. The prince had found a single glass slipper, the key to finding the girl who had touched his heart like a soft melody. Soldiers traveled from home to home, kindly asking young women to try the slipper, but none could fill it. Eventually, they arrived at Cinderella's quiet house. Her stepsisters tried desperately, but the slipper was calm, unmoving, unwilling to bend to anything less than the foot it belonged to. Then Cinderella appeared, softly, almost shyly, as if not wanting to disturb the moment. She tried the slipper, and it fit as though made for her soul. She was brought to the palace, where the prince recognized her, not by her dress, but by the calm light in her eyes. "You," he whispered, relieved and amazed. Cinderella smiled softly, a smile filled with gratitude and quiet wonder. Her life changed, not into one of noise and pressure, but into one of peace, respect, and love that grew slowly like warm sunlight at dawn. And now, as the story settles like soft snow on a quiet field, you may let your eyes grow heavy. Take a slow breath and another. Know that like Cinderella, you deserve gentleness. You deserve rest. You deserve moments of quiet magic in your life. Let the night wrap around you like a warm blanket. Let sleep carry you into a world of soft dreams, where hope glows gently, where peace finds you easily, and where you awaken renewed and whole. Good night, sweet dreams, and may you rest deeply. Moon Star.